the spirit in her and the optimism of Billie Holiday, and also her humor. She was a funny lady. I mean, she laughed even at tragic events in her own life. I mean, and it's interesting. A lot of people said our perception of her is, oh, this victim, this person who is certainly, absolutely a victim of racism, of poverty, of being sexually assaulted at 10 years of age, being taken advantage of by men, of managers, of business people, certainly the injustice of the legal system, being imprisoned on narcotics when she really needed help. But I don't think she ever saw herself as a victim. If anything, she said she was a strong woman. If she needed to fight you, she would fight. And she fought as much as she could, as best as she knew how, not having anything past an 8th grade education, not knowing the legal system, always wanting and thinking the best of people, not refusing representation and lawyers. And she would take the fall for drugs when really it was her companions that brought it in, and they had lawyers and they were gone and nowhere to be seen. So, I think she was a really extraordinary, formidable woman. When you think about what happened in her life, my question was, well, how could she not turn to chemical substances or something at some point to deal with the amount of pain and trauma that she was surviving? But, if she had, as I said before, if therapy or help or some type of medical treatment. She was astonished by the help that addicts got in Europe, and she was tempted to stay in Europe. And, that might have been best for her personally and maybe her career. We'll never know. But I even in the way that she tells the stories, and I think the playwright really does capture that extraordinarily well, her sense of humor. And there's a sense of also this cavalier attitude. I think she did everything she wanted to do in her life.
The spirit of Billie Holiday is a triumphant spirit. The person herself endured many greatly concussively impactful events in her life, but she was able to take all of these difficult moments and the moments of joy and put them right into her music. She was a consummate artist that way. She took what happened in her life and she placed it in the music. And so there are nights when the blues allegedly is a downer to some, but her blues often had such a joyful kind of spirit in it. Her phrasing was impeccable. Her sense of timing was impeccable. She loved to really bother the tempo of things because it was depending on how she felt that evening, how she was feeling the musicians, what the atmospheric conditions were that night, whether the air condition was on or off. She used all of those things that were immediately around her in her art. And when we talk about the great artist of the world, she's in the pantheon of those because she was able to do that, and she was an international star, dying at age 44, but being talked about and being portrayed 60 years after her death.